Good morning and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. We're here at day 2 of the open house, our spring fling open house in April, and we're shooting another top 5. And we've got today with us Josh McLeod.
Yep. How's it going?
I'm excited you made your way here from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
You're carpooling with Doug.
Yep.
And I'm so excited you made it here to your first Mr. Maple open house.
Yeah.
How long you been growing Japanese maples?
Maybe 8 months.
Yeah. What
Yep.
got you interested into Japanese maples?
Well, I started gardening with like flowering perennials, and then I had maybe one Japanese maple. I had no idea there was this many. And then someone sent me the Mr. Maple link, and I started scrolling through the website, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. And I bought a couple of them, and the ball started rolling from there.
I mean, they can be addicting.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how we sort of did the same thing with Dad. And, Dad introduced us into Japanese maples, and we started seeing all these cultivars, and then we started buying one more and one more.
Yeah.
And then it was like Dad had like 150 cultivars, and he was like, guys, I already have quite a bit of Japanese maples.
Yeah.
And then we realized we were crazy about it. So it's the bug's infectious once you get
yeah.
it.
Yeah, there's no stopping it. It doesn't matter how many you have.
Acers Anonymous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, today we're going to do his top 5 Japanese maples. These are the top 5 Japanese maples, and you've been growing these for 8 months, so you've seen a bunch of different trees. You've been following Mr. Maple pretty regularly.
Yep.
Always, a lot of times in the live chat, this man right here, always in the Mr. Maple Friends group. So this actually puts a face with him, and you're going to see his top 5 trees. So let's get started with Josh's top 5 Japanese maples. What do you have at number 5?
Number 5 is First Ghost. And that thing is amazing. I love variegation. I love reticulation, whether it's on Japanese maples or other plants. But I just saw it leaf out for the first time this spring, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
I know, it's one of those plants that once you see it, you start to realize, what's out there in the world of maples.
Yeah.
Because you've got this unique variegation where you see the reticulated veins of the tree.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I grew a lot of other plants before Japanese maples. I grew up helping out with daylilies at local farm that was right there.
Yeah.
And got into a bunch of plants. I never knew that there could be a reticulated variegation until I found Japanese maples.
Yeah.
And First Ghost with that purple border on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It adds so much color on a tree. I feel like normally people think of trees as green, maybe red in the fall, and that's it.
Yep.
But with Japanese maples, there's so much variety, so much uniqueness, and you can do so much with them.
It's kind of crazy that Talon was just walking around and saw like Akashigatsu Sawa out there. And we've got one right over here, and there's just this sport hanging off of it that was white with a purple border, and he was like, let's graft it.
Yeah, let's do something with that.
Yeah, it's cool how the mutations like that can just turn into something so spectacular like the Ghost series.
Yep.
It just excites me a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have as your number 4?
Number 4, I have lily pad. So lily pad, I have a bunch of macawas. I have a lot of them. And lily pad, it's one of the most unique, in my opinion. Mainly the texture of it because of the leaf shape and the dense habit. It's really dense, but it's really fluffy. Mm-hmm. It's really fluffy and just looks soft, and it's so cool. I just think it's a really, really unique macawa.
The variegation does give like this very unusual texture to the foliage.
Yeah.
Especially in the springtime, because when it first leaves out, you don't really see the variegation as well as you do later on in the summer, but you see the texture that the variegation is giving.
Yeah.
Because it gives you this unusual leaf shape. And the leaf shape is a little more serrated and more deeply incised than your typical Macawi at the Busa.
Yeah.
And a little bit smaller leaf, which makes it something to be fun for bonsai. But then when you see the variegation in the summer, it's just like it tops it all off.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a really cool dwarf Macawa type. And the thing is about it is it just has this low spreading habit as it starts aging. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've saw some of the larger specimens of it in the landscape, and you just see it's just like, it's like a little,
Yeah.
like a little lily pad out there.
Yeah.
And that's where it got its name. And I'm partial to it too because of the frogs.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a pretty good one.
Yeah, and I don't have much room, so I'm having to be very picky on the trees that I buy, but I like it enough to where I had to have a second. And that's not very common with me here right
Yeah.
now. So,
I mean, but sometimes you got to do that.
yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, we've got 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples, and we've got 1,500 different varieties, and we'll find us where we're only trying to keep 2, but we'll look around and we'll be like, we've got 6 of these planted in the ground.
Yeah.
It's like,
sometimes
do we need them? And then we'll be like, yeah, that one's a good one.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
I totally get it.
Right. My number 3 is rainbow. So, I don't even know where to start with rainbow. The variegation, like I love all things variegated. So I love variegated plants. I love Japanese maples. So a variegated Japanese maple is great, and that dark red on pink is just so nice. And I have 3, but I have one that's probably 8-9 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it has just so much variegation on it, and it's beautiful. I love it.
The dark red foliage of rainbow with the brighter pink on there.
Yeah.
The contrast on the variegation is one of the most contrasts you can get on a variegated Japanese maple.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so bright and so dark that the variegation it just pops more.
Yeah.
And I think that's what draws most people into rainbow.
It's very flashy, but I love that. I love it. And I feel like it gets me close to satisfying my desire for Taimen Nishiki because of the color. That one's a difficult one to find, but this one, it's pretty close, I think.
It definitely is, but it probably may even be darker.
Yeah.
And the variegation may be a little more prominent on rainbow because of that contrast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one was found by Talon Buchholz as a chance seedling, and it's fun when you can start going through all these different Toyama Nishiki seedlings and Hanamatoi seedlings to start finding things that look like rainbow. But we've tried, and so has Talon, to find a more stable form. Because, I mean, rainbow's the worst attribute about rainbow is that it can be unstable.
Mm-hmm.
It can throw on solid branches of red that you have to then continue to prune out. But there's never been a rainbow that's so dark that is stable as rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful tree, and it's one of those plants that when you see it, you got to have it. You got to try it out. And I do recommend pruning out any reversion that pops up on one. But rainbow, it's so beautiful. I mean, it's a must-have to have.
Yeah, and I love it enough to where I can prune out the reversions. I mean, that's nothing for me to go out there and just snip off a branch or two every now and then. And I'm more than willing to do it for rainbow.
I mean, you get 2 growth spurts in the season.
Yep.
You get one in the spring, you get one in the summer. If you do a little bit of pruning twice a year on rainbow, you can have a beautiful tree that no one else has, and no one else has seen anything quite like it.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit to rainbow is it seems unreal, and that's just, again, opens up what all the possibilities are with Japanese maple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Number 2 is Kumo Nishi, and again, the variegation. I thought I had my top 5 set in stone when I was driving up here, and before open house, and then I saw the spring flushes of everything, and it completely changed my top 5. I bought a Kumo Nishi out of leaf and just saw it leaf out for the first time, and it's amazing. I have it sitting right next to my front door, and every time I go in and out of the house, I see it, and it's so cool, and it has large leaves, so there's a lot of potential for variegation on each leaf. Like each of the leaves displays amazing variegation, and it's great.
For me, Kumo Nishi was a game changer. It's a subuldianum, so it's a full moon style like maple, and it's got a variegation that is unique to only Kumo Nishi.
Yeah.
It's not quite a Rido Nishiki. It doesn't quite fit in any mold if you tried to put it in a mold of this style of variegation. It's got lots of swirls in there of light green, white, and every leaf is different unto itself.
Yeah.
I remember when the guy who brought that back from Japan first released it. Matt and I got a 3-gallon from him, and we were freaking out. We were in hog heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a really awesome tree, and like I said, it's a game changer. I mean, it's an Easter Subuldianum, and it's variegated. There's nothing else quite like that.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, that's a winner.
Yeah,
and
for
the
sure.
fall colors of yellows and oranges with the variegation swirled in there, I mean, then it can go to reds late.
Yeah.
You still see the variegation.
I haven't seen it yet in fall, but I'm so excited. I'm really excited for it. Okay, number 1B is Esk Sunset. So Esk Sunset, man, I was looking for that tree for so long, and just by chance I happened to find one on y'all's website. It wasn't even on the limited sale. I'm not sure how or why it got listed, but I grabbed it so fast, and it was a 3-gallon, and it's maybe, as tall as I am. And I've been watching it. It was one of the last to leaf out this spring.
Yeah.
And I was checking it twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. And there were significant changes throughout that time when it was leafing out. And it is just, it's beautiful. It's so unique. Obviously, Acer pseudoplantanus. And it's, just the variegation on the top, the purple undersides, the size and the shape of the leaf, like everything. It's great.
When Matt and I purchased Highland Creek Nursery, that's really when we were really introduced to Esk Sunset. And we purchased that in 2012, 2013. And he was a liner business that produced maple liners in Fletcher, North Carolina, near us. And he had a decent sized one, and we were like, that's a beautiful tree. And we fell in love with it and started making sure that we were trying to make it available as much as possible. Recently, when we purchased the Buckholtz Nursery in Oregon, literally seeing like a large specimen that, is every bit of 20 feet tall, 20 foot wide of Esk Sunset, you really begin to appreciate it. It's easy to appreciate a small when you're looking underneath it or looking out from the top of it, or if you're looking at one that's, face level. When you start looking at one that's like a giant Esk Sunset, and you're seeing that purple from the backside, you see the variegation from a distance, and you're like, what is that tree?
Yeah, it almost turns into a different tree then.
It does.
You get to walk up under it, and you're seeing all purple, and then you back up, and it's all variegated. It's great.
I'm getting a little bit of a theme on many of your selections.
Yep.
It's different variegations so far.
Yeah.
A lot of them have been different variegations that are really special and different.
Yeah.
Seems you have a lot of interest in some of the variegated types.
Yeah, the variegated are definitely my favorites. I think there's a lot of similar stuff out there with differences, but again, I don't have much space right now. So I'm looking for the most unique possible. I want to get the biggest bang for my buck in the small space that I have. And these trees definitely provide that. And yeah, I love the variegation.
So you said 1B.
Yes.
Now there's a 1A.
There is a 1A. Okay. The 1A is Mayday. And I don't even know. Mayday is it's beautiful. I love Mayday. It took me a while to finally get one. But that peach color in the spring, and obviously the habit, but I love it.
I tell you, I fell in love with it more and more the more I see it. You see it in Matt's Makawa garden, and you see all these other Japanese maples that are Makawa types, and you see pinks, orange, reds, but that Mayday, it can go to a peach, but then it goes to a yellow after that, and it's the yellow in the Makawa garden.
Yeah.
And so I fell in love with it because, I like the color yellow and how it just sort of brightens things up. But man, I mean, Mayday does that in a spectacular fashion.
Yes. And I have a big, small Makawa, like a regular Makawa Yatsubusa. But if I were to get a large Makawa, it would be Mayday for sure.
Matt and I, years ago, on one of our first or second trips to Buckholtz Nursery, we were walking through the greenhouses, and we loved Makawa Yatsubusa. I mean, that was already one of our favorite Japanese maples. And we saw Pinky, and right beside of it was a tree called Joy of May, which became Mayday.
Oh, nice.
And we were freaking out over it. And I was telling Talon when he came and visited here in Asheville, you really need to be producing Mayday. You really need to be producing Mayday. Because we had dinner at a pizza place in Asheville, and I'd sat down and I said, well, here's my top priority of plants that I think would really hit the market well. And I would love it if you started producing Mayday and started making that one available and pushing it. And it was kind of cool because he did.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, I think everybody loves Mayday. You know, I don't see how you couldn't love Mayday.
that's been a killer top 5 Japanese maples, Josh.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
I appreciate you jumping in today. Y'all take care. God bless and have a great day.